moving up and down it, dodging and such. We hear a wind howl through rocks fall from above, and then we see a third man above. We hear a hiss, and then the older man simply falls down dead. We see an arrow shot through his throat. The dust begins to settle. We see a pan around, more men moving around, a few dying or being stabbed by those who are not. The two Dornishmen left are not alone. There's many of them around as the dust blows away. Sound of dying spreading. Those who are left, all are wearing the 3 nightingales upon their breast. The sigil of House Karen. We see Sir Urgus, who we've seen before, dressed as we've seen him before. He has his armor and his longsword. It is bloodied all the way up to the hilt. He walks down the stairway and speaks in a gentle voice. "Good work, men. Burn the bodies." He looks to the sky. Daybreak will soon be upon us. I'd like to get out of here while we have the chance. We pan up to the sky to see the suns that are beginning to shine down, the glare growing stronger as it raises above the mountains in the distance, the red mountains. And then we pan down again from a similar sun, similar sky, but to a different place. We see a city of pale white stone, hustling and bustling, though there is an air of fear in it. A huge man is standing by a shop front. A grinning merchant is inspecting an ornate plate bracer. "Fine work, good steel. Sadly, there will soon be plenty of such things around," he says, dropping it into a leather-bound chest, carrying finely packed pieces of a beautiful armor. "I'll pay. Not much. You're sure you would rather keep the boy? I would pay for him. If he grew to be a man of your size, he would find a general master, I'm sure." The merchant is backhanded by the giant of a man he's talking to. He swirls and falls to the ground. We slide to the side, and now see a view of the big man, scarred, wearing old tarnished mail, the chest left behind as he walks out of the store. A drunken man stumbles into him and is forcibly pushed aside. The huge man clearly recognizes the drunkard, and his face grimaces into one of disgust. "Have you lost your mind, fool, drinking up your last pay? Have you nothing better to do than die in a gutter like this?" The drunkard raises his wineskin as in a toast. "It's either death or slavery for men like us when the city falls. Dying drunk in the gutter seems a better way to die than most," he says as he gushes the wine over his face. We see the big man's face grow hard. We pan to the side, and now we see him on a ship. It's a small one, and he's looking out with the city behind him. We follow his gaze, and we see the black ships, dark brown and crimson sails, sabers, skulls, and naked women on every sail. He looks back to the captain of the small boat he's on, a heartless man. We see a crew of now impoverished former rich men, all huddled together with the small trinkets that they have managed to keep. We see the big man look down. We see a small hand holding one of his fingers, squeezing it, as a young boy, 5 or so, is holding onto him, clearly afraid. For a moment we see his face grow soft, his scars seeming not so threatening. Then a drum begins to bellow out over the Bay of Mir, as the large black ships begin to close in on the city. He looks back, the sun now shining its red light across the white stone harbor. As the dark masses outside the walls of this once untarnished pearl of a city begins to move, a distant roof catches fire, and we see the distant light reflected in his eyes. Everything darkens until only the flicker of a flame is seen. It remains there, in our view, as if trying to stay alight in the darkness for a few seconds. Then a mailed hand takes it from the dusty castle wall, carrying the torch with it, up a well-known set of stairs. A guard carrying a torch opens the door to the rookery, and we see Decim sit in the dim light of the moon shining through the window, a half-finished painting in front of him. The guard stammers, "Milord, a rider in the night. He says his name is Varen Flowers. He said you would know him." We cut to the Caladan Hall. Lord Lanus, the Lord of the Marshes, is sitting in the high seat, bearing the flaming sword of Caladan upon his breast. He's wearing a new helmet, dark iron, with a dark iron band around it, signifying his duty to keep this land safe. Next to him sits Decim, looking older than we've seen him before, but also slightly less tense. The large man, who calls himself Varen, is sitting on a bench, eating a slightly heated soup, the best meal he's had in a month. His son, the young boy, was asleep when they arrived, and is resting somewhere in the keep. Walking back and forth is the giant of Caladan, now not with the skull helmet, but as almost always wearing his expensive plate, the greatsword slung across his back. The giant in metal, like a pagan god of war, looking upon the one eating. Varen looks up, having just finished a large loaf of bread. Seeing the man's pause, Decim's voice from the high table echoes through the room. "So you say you're Varen Flowers?" That's the scene we'll begin with. And Lord Lanus. Jonas, would you be so kind as to play Decim? Maybe we can have Dark play Lanus, though he's probably not going to have as much to say because he doesn't know this man. Yeah.
Well,
Gogor is gone.
Yes, Gogor said that he probably wouldn't make it to the session start time this week.
Oh, wonderful. I should have probably seen that.
Because he had like a exam or something thing that he is like multiple hours away from his home. That's why he said he probably wouldn't make it to the session on time. He said that last week. He said that when he was first recruited to this game.
Maybe someone could do a little bit of Varen. I don't know. I don't know anything about him. I think Malika would know him best, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose we could do that. That's going to be fine. Yeah. All right, let's do that.
All right. Well, Decim would be slightly tired, middle of the night and everything. Kvala would be frowning, and he would look at the man, and he would definitely be surprised and look at him and say, "It is difficult to know exactly where to start with anything like this. Last time I saw you, if it is you," frowns at him, "was," he tries to think back, "decades ago." Looks him up and down.
Big man, so clad in his tarnished mail. Welcome back, Dark. You are playing Lanus right now. If you please. Varen will look at the soup and look at the high table and say, "It's been some time." It certainly has, yes.
You certainly look more weathered than when I saw you last. Frowns again.
Comes with the work I've been doing.
And what work is that, exactly?
Sits, turns a little bit, pushes the bowl of now gone soup away from him. He says, "Mercenary work. I've been working in the Free Cities. Recently. I've been fighting in the disputed lands for years.
Desem would. I would like to do like a memory check for Desem, see if he can he's like desperately not showing it, of course, but he's desperately trying to remember, like this guy, and like
Sure.
trying to remember his face and features, and like be like, could this be the same guy like 10, 20 years later? Like he's really trying.
Sure.
To get that. So let me bring up my old character sheet here. Take a look what I have for memory.
Decent bit.
It's pretty good actually, because cunning is one of my best things. So Desem is actually quite good at this. Oh God! Well, Desem going up the
What do you
back.
want to remember? For some reason, look at that shit. That's a good roll for our first.
Alzheimer's kicking in. Fuck you, Larry. Fuck you.
Glad you got that out of the way.
Take that. All right, yeah, I mean, that's him.
Mhm.
And you remember, I mean, at this moment, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's him, definitely. And you remember, like, even one of those scars he got in like a fight he got in when he was a young man, young boy.
Mhm.
And he definitely has that one, and it's definitely the one. You can remember it. Yeah, I mean, there's not the thing you can't remember.
Desem looks at him and says, "You fought in Mirror. The city fell."
Noslin says, yes, I got out. It cost me, well, almost everything I had. He sort of gestures slightly to his mail and says, as you can see, I don't look as well as I used to.
Looks him up and down. I take it then you fought on the side of the city and against the Blackfire.
The damned lying dog, yes, honorless beast. He swears in low Valerian. It is a very guttural swear.
Mm-hmm.
Then looks up a little sheepishly and says, excuse me. Old habits die hard.
Doesn't want to lean over towards Lenus and whisper in his ear. It is certainly Baron Flowers. I remember him quite clearly, in fact. He hasn't set foot in these lands since before you were born, I think.
I certainly don't remember him, though that language of his certainly doesn't match where he would be from.
He is technically of the house, although he is Flowers. So, Desem makes a slight shrug. Looking over to him.
The house has got a lot of situations right now. More men at arms would not be about the worst thing.
I suppose so. Lenus leans forward. And how is that profession of yours? Not grown dull, not grown rusty? Have you grown tired of the fight? Looks at him sternly.
The terms of surrender was not gracious in Mir. The city didn't surrender as much as it was defeated. I didn't fancy a life in slavery.
I
For me,
seem to...
you're my boy, he says, suddenly, like a little bit of a weight clearly on his shoulders. He's tense about that subject.
Desem nods slowly. I pointed you towards the free cities and Essos all those years ago. And you have returned now. He looks at him. As you might, of course, understand, House Caladan is in a precarious position with our newly attained lordhood of the marshes. If we were to bring you back into the fold, the house would expect service from you.
This is Yes, I don't know the oath. I have been gone for a very long time. But if you will give me and my son some, just if we can stay here, then yes, you shall have my swords and every service I can do for you.
Desmond looks over to Linus.
Yes, takes a second. Clearly thinking and judging his uncle's expressions.
Desmond is fairly neutral, although he might have indicated some in his tone and stuff that he wouldn't have really any problem with accepting Baron Flowers in. I mean, as you said, more fighters for the cause is always good. He's a Flowers, which is a bit, it's a bit shameful. But then again, that is not the greatest shame of this house. Let's be honest. It's not the greatest oddity in these.
Just ask Jessam's wife. Oh.
Damn!
Oh.
Who said that?
Desmond most certainly would have noticed every now and again Lance's eyes kind of looking at Baron Flower, then kind of tracing to Alaric, and then back again.
He is as big as Alaric. It is very impossible, pretty much, to tell who's the bigger one. They're both massive. Like, just the sheer chance of these people not being in family. Yeah.
Lanus will rise from his seat and stand to look down, increasing his height slightly more, though if he, of course, Baron Flowers to stand up, it would mean nothing. I, Lord Lanus of this house, do accept you back to our service. You are to be a knight and our sword at our side. Sir, to serve us and to serve all the house's duties as one of our own would.
You shall have my sword or axe in this case, but I don't, I'm no sir.
Very well. You'll still serve then with your axe at our side.
It's, as long as my boy has home and hearth in this place, I vow that I shall.
And
as much as that's worth.
So Alaric, would you care to show him around?
Alaric nods and says, well, let's do the tours.
Looks at the food and stands up. The chair the stool falling, and then as he stands up, he moves his big hands in a way that makes the bowl clatter and roll across the floor, spilling a little bit of his ale. He looks and says, "Oh, sorry."
Some servant girl is probably rushing forward, already used to this.
Right, in the awkward silence.
Yeah.
This meeting is adjourned.
Alaric can perhaps recognize this man having the same sort of problems with his moving his larger limbs around as he himself occasionally suffers from.
Finally, someone other than Hugo to feel the pain.
Oh dear. Desmond, as they slowly walk out, Desmond will look over to Linus. Oh, surprises all around.
This is a pleasant one.
Looks over as the Baron leaves. Perhaps remains to be seen. Sir Alaric seemed rather agitated, didn't he?
Yes. Feeling a challenge to his size, perhaps.
There's some snorts. Yes, perhaps. 2 giants. Oh, luckily we got all of those supplies from Lord Peacebury.
I feel we're going to need it.
Yes. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to finish my work.
Very well, Uncle.
Nephew, he nods towards him, gets up. Does a clicking sound for Qualler to sit on his shoulder, and then he makes his way up again. Those blasted stairs.
Yeah. Someday you'll have to move the ravens, but it's not.
That's not the same. I just won't go down anymore. I just won't head down. Oh no.
Just ask his wife.
God fucking damn it.
Oh,
No, I'm missing paintings from the darkroom, Manikai. I'm upset.
oh,
Yeah, I had like several paintings up there, but they're all gone now. Only
sorry.
two
I
paintings.
don't know where they would have went. Maybe they were put there at some point where the server bugged out and had to be closed.
Perhaps also to the same place where Manikai said no more objects added to the map.
It's difficult, okay? If you add more, you should make like your own picture and put them all in one picture. The server likes that more than many different ones, for some reason. All right, so we see that scene basically. Alaric showing Baron around. And then we go to a different place. Well, not so much a different place as a different time. Here, in this scene, you see, put this guy like up here by the barracks. Anything out there? This time, we see two odd-looking fellows, at least for this place. At least for this place, for a little while. Standing in the Great Hall. In front of them stands Lord Lanus. And I will play him now.
Okay.
Sure.
So, we see these two Dornishmen, one with a bow and the other one with an exotic-looking blade, standing in the hall, waiting nicely in front of Lord Caladan. As his lordship reads a letter, "Best for the task," he mumbles. His lordship of Respite and the Marches looks up from his reading, appraisingly looking at the two. Then we switch to a different scene. A scene in the meeting room. Here, in this place, is his lordship Lanus, of course. There's Lord Desm, Sir Alaric, Lady Bree, Varen Flowers, and the two Dornishmen, all seated.
Oh my.
What a gathering.
You let the Dornish people sit at the table?
What has the house come to?
Alaric taking what's generally like Rosette's place, but she's not really. She's too into her pregnancy to really take care of much else, really. So.
This is a great family portrait right here.
Yeah.
The scars of the soul and the mind.
Kyvan sitting very gingerly on the chair as he's like afraid of actually leaning back into it and making himself any type of comfortable.
Have recently arrived. You have been sit sort of in a room that you share, that you haven't really been talked much to by many people. Seemingly, they had bad experiences with some Dornish people who came from somewhere, something, and they don't really want you walking around too much now. You were sent here by Lord Ryth, and with a letter to give to the Lord of the Masters, which you did, after which you were given food and a place to sleep and whatnot. So, at least you're well sort of provisioned for. His lordship, this time, is reading a different letter, with Desm looking at him, a satisfied smile on his lips. You know, he's proud of himself. Lanus looks to Desm and nods slowly. Then he looks to the people gathered. The news that Varen presented us has been proven to be true. Mir has indeed fallen, as he said, and winter is ending. Our window of time grows smaller every passing day. He looks slightly to Decim. The war that will come is going to be a terrible one, and we cannot be seen to remain at respite for its duration. Yet, I am also Lord of the Marshes now, and it is my duty, the duty of our house, to keep these lands secure from Dornish invaders. Our king will need us, but so will the Marshes. We cannot forsake either of them, or we will forsake our duty, and so, Decim, he moves a hand to Decim, working with Lord Karen and Lord Ryth, has worked out a plan that will let us participate in both. Some of you might wonder what you're doing at this council. He looks to the end of the table, the other end, that is. Wondering why we've called you here today. It is because this plan will test your courage, wits, and skill to its limits. Yet, you are the best we have available for it. He looks to Alaric. Sir, you are the greatest warrior of our house, a commander in the field and a strategist at the war table. You would lead our men into battle against the Black Dragon, yet we have need of you not there, but in the south. Or slightly looking to Alaric, hoping to not have disappointed him too much. You are to take a party into the heart of the Red Mountains. There you will bring the terror and death upon the vultures that they hope to bring upon us. You will show them that when they stamp out a flame of Caladan, they will catch fire and burn. He says, slightly with a sort of a glow of anger to him. He has not forgot what they did to his brother. With you, you will have these Dornishmen, he sort of gestures towards them, the personally picked by Lord Ryth for this task. Your cousin, too, who recently arrived here, will go with you as well. He wishes to prove his worth, and this will certainly allow him to do so. Sister, Lady Bree, next to Bree, taking a slight break to sort of think it over, perhaps.
Bree flutters her eyes coquettishly at her brother.
I don't think I need to explain why I would ask you to go with Sir Alaric. He looks to Alaric. Rosette has also told me of how well you handled the Red Mountains when last you were there to find Deepwell. And you have proven many a time that you can handle yourself as a warrior. Besides, I doubt I could keep you home if I desired to. It looks to maybe this is more the real reason, given that at least one more will exists within that hellish place.
Bree hardens her lips and frames a statement. I live to serve this house, brother.
He frowns. Decim looks slightly worried.
Bree has an affable smile on her face. I mean, her brother's the Lord of the Marshes, and this is where she wanted him, so...
Decim's frown deepens.
Your objectives will be to make sure that the vultures cannot threaten the marshes once the war calls us elsewhere. Find out who is supporting them, with some evidence if possible. Find their holdings, the places where they keep their forces. There must be gatherings where large groups of people can be living inside of there. Break their supply lines, take their food and weapons from them. Kill their leaders, and break their organization apart. Make them squabble. Do this in return. If the information you bring is sufficient enough, it should allow us to break them without having to send thousands of men to their deaths on the Red Cliffs. You will leave for Helmbreaker's Hall as fast as you can, on the morrow if possible. Spring is coming, and the mountains are growing hotter by the day. Sir Urgus will aid you in getting into the mountains. From there, you will be on your own. The good sir has experience in the mountains, and might be able to give you more than a bit of advice. I would recommend a meeting with him. He will already know of the plan. Decim looks to all of you, looking for dissent, perhaps avoiding Bree. Linus leans back a little bit, slightly uncomfortable, perhaps with asking you to go and do this.
Kyvan would
looks
just
over
have
to Kyvan.
Kyvan would just have his eyes down on the table. He doesn't really feel comfortable in here at all. All of these high lords.
Baron grunts slightly. Yes, nods and says, "On the morrow, then." Good. You can leave to make your preparations. Uncle, I will wish to speak to you. Some nods and remains seated. Sort of stands.
Steps and bows deeply towards Lord Lanus.
Aaron forgets to bow, then sees Theolis do it and then does it.
Yeah, seeing Keevan bow, like Ren kind of looks like, okay, and bows.
Yeah, Kiva will shoot him a murderous sidelong glance if he isn't quick enough.
Moves out.
Bree gives Alaric an affable smile.
Alaric has grown used to ignoring these now and is no longer troubled by them too much. They've been happening for months now. It's
She's so friendly.
That's
Maybe
right.
she's just,
maybe she's
Since the head of the king thing, her attitude has changed towards Alaric, almost as if she were littler before she had been kidnapped, and she enjoyed all of those heartwarming stories about knighthood and chivalry.
oh.
Aw, it's fucking adorable.
I mean, he enjoys telling them, right? So.
He does. He loves it.
Right.
He
And
tries
so
every
Bree
time he
has-
gets the opportunity.
Bree has prodded at Alaric on multiple occasions. Tell me a story, something that an equivalent.
Oh, this one about actually,
Actually,
Not
no,
that
not that one.
the conquests of Ashra.
That's very long.
No, that's
So, so let me introduce you all to the stairwell where everyone in the house stays at the same time. Like we all just linger around, passing by each other.
This is why. Yep. That's why Alaric has such big calves. It's just going up and down these stairs all day. That's it.
Bree flicks her eyes towards the two newcomer Dornishmen.
Kyvan would give a incredulous look back and then sort of blink a little bit and remember that he's standing in front of actually a noble lady, and he will bow and say, "My lady."
You've also probably being Dornish heard that this is the
demon
of Caladan, who it is said can flay snakes with her bare hands. Snakes the size of a horse.
Oh gosh.
Ren is masking his emotions the best he can.
Has out of curiosity, Grumman, has
Some
Bree,
even. Sorry.
how does Bree look these days? Has she changed anything?
Bree, tell you what, that shipment of dresses that Halen ordered has arrived, and she's been wearing them. She's at this point she stands about 162 centimeters, and with her athletics 4 and strength 4, the dresses really weren't sized for someone of her musculature, and so she's had to personally lengthen out the sleeves or whatever so that her body will fit in there. She's still heavily scarred, but she does not wear the simple tunic and breeches that she once did. And her face and her wrath have been now more disguised beneath this veneer of friendliness, of affability. And she will smile prettily at the Dornishman and wiggle her hands in a half wave that could be creepy and terrifying, and say, "See you both on the morrow."
You nod. My lady.
Yes, milady Caladan.
You go far here. And Bree walks to the stairwell.
Uh,
Kind of leans
Actually-
over. Was that her?
it doesn't look like a demon.
I mean, she matches the description.
Yeah, but horse-sized snakes?
Well, she certainly stands out from the other creature ladies we've seen.
He laughs a little bit. Yeah, I'll say. And then
Stands here. A grunt as they walk past.
like starts a little bit. Like, oh. So, Varen nods. Preparing.
I don't think I called your names.
No, I'm Kyvan Rain, and this is my brother.
Ren. I have no surname to speak of. Bows his head very slightly.
Shrugs. Clearly used to that.
Kyvan laughs slightly nervously.
You are pretty young to be going on a mission like this. You've been in the mountains before. I hear terrible things about them.
We have, yes. I dare say we have proved ourselves even. Yes. The mountains are not the nicest place, to say the least. He sort of scratches the back of his head. Warm.
Certainly
It's full of snakes. He shivers visibly. And bandits, which I suppose we are supposed to find. So.
not much changes in that way.
I suppose not. Great opportunity, though. Great. I mean, working directly for Lord of the Marshes, that's pretty impressive.
He nods, accepting that. Never worked with a Dornishman before. Then again, I haven't been in this place for half my life.
Well, never.
Worked with someone of your size.
Sort of.
So you're new here as well?
Yes, we arrived just a week or so ago.
Hmm.
We're from, I guess we're reinforcements. House Caladan doesn't have much experience with their own troops in the mountains. I do believe that last time they tried, it sort of went a little sideways. He sort of glances around, hoping not to see Alaric.
Looks at them, frowns slightly.
Kyvan blushes a little bit and blinks. No, I shouldn't have said that.
He apologizes.
Nonsense. Suppose you should go get ready then.
Yeah.
Yes.
I suppose we should.
Kind of looks to Kyvan of, let's just get out of here.
Yeah, let's fucking get out of here. Get away from this guy. Oh God.
Abort.
Yeah. Fucking run.
Head back to House Carrot. We can't fulfill our end of the help.
Here.
It's full of crazy people. Don't carry you can. He looks like a big bastard, doesn't he? He sort of walks out, talking among themselves, and then sees Sir Alaric like.
Yeah, he certainly does look like. Yeah, I said that. Alaric just heard that. He looked like a big bastard.
Alaric looks around and just glares at the two Dornishmen.
You see Kyvan swallows visibly. No, my lord, I wasn't. It was the other big. I mean, sort of fidgets.
Ren is just sighing so hard right now.
Alaric's
Nervous
like
step.
stony demeanor kind of like breaks a bit, and he kind of smirks and says, "Yeah, he is rather big, isn't he? Get back to getting prepared." He turns around.
It makes a face like phew towards Ren, and then I suppose we set off towards the barracks or wherever we hang out.
Yeah, hopefully no longer encountering more of these moments.
Everyone's so scary here. Why is everyone so scary?
The guards stand here looking at you.
We fought so many bandits, and then now we're getting scared off by everything.
Does that root stand in the way for just long enough to size you up before sort of taking a step to the side?
Mhm.
All
You're
of the
kind of used
soldiers
to that,
think they're
though,
big enough.
in the marshes. As long as you travel, like, north of Karen lands, people are very rude.
Mhm. Yeah, so we've sort of gotten used to it a little bit. The silent abuse of those around us.
Being called, like, snakes or
Mhm.
that sort of thing.
Which I'm sure Kyvan loves being called a snake.
Yeah, and no, he's not particularly fond of it. He can certainly be picked out as Dornish, but he's very much he's not the deep Dornish, so
He's
to speak.
stone Dornish.
Yeah, he's much more. It's clear that like
He's
he
wear dress more so than his ethnicity.
Mhm. Exactly. He's
Meanwhile, your
So,
companion, however,
so Kievan looks more Andal than Ren.
yes.
Even would be the same kind of Dornish as Rosette is, which means as ethnicity is basically not any different than here in the marshes.
Okay.
Ren, however, looks significantly more Dornish, someone much further south than anywhere you've been in Dorne.
Just look at that foundation, man. I mean,
He is working it.
Like, how do they even keep that on their skin in the heat?
It's baked on.
It's baked. I baked my foundation. It's actually tattooed on. That's what it is.
Oh no, that's a bad idea. Yeah. Kyvan would go and prepare. He's been in the mountains a few times. He has pack light. He has the base necessities he needs. Backpacks, some tools for repairs, flasks, flint and steel ropes, tents, water skins.
Tents.
Well, one tent for him. And
One thing he certainly knows going to the mountains is that people generally, if they go there without much armor, without much like backpacking, and without actually going for very long, because otherwise you run out of water and die. You can live about a day without water in the Dornish mountains, and then you're dead.
Ren is also
Food is less of a problem, but
Ren is also packed relatively light. The biggest thing he has on him is a special part of his of his bag, which is filled with a variety of interesting bits of equipment, which Kievan would know as the healing supplies that Ren brings around with him.
and Kyvan also has a few minor flasks and like potions, not really potions, but minor flasks that might be medicine. Then those are packed very carefully, so they don't break in the backpack. He doesn't have too many of them, but in an emergency, it's good to have.
one of the soldiers saw him check them, and now people say that he has got poison with him, so he's not really allowed anywhere near the kitchens or anywhere really. People are watching you while you sleep.
To be expected by the snakes, right?
I imagine that's for the both of us, with both of us having all the I have all that medical equipment on me.
The Dornish men wield the weapons of women, as they say. Too scared to fight a real Reacher men without such tricks.
Proven by a will.
Certainly songs will also be there about the victories when Dorne was conquered by the Reach, and such things.
Yeah, I mean, Kyvan will suffer such minor.
How the Dornish women only go up here with arms as an excuse to get in the pants of the men of the Reach, because they don't smell as bad as the Dornish dogs, that sort of thing. So it's very, very offensive. But then again, similar songs about the martial laws, though probably not as much because you are in Dolcaran service and he generally frowns upon that sort of thing. But it goes both ways, certainly.
Well, not every house can be as enlightened as the Karens, right? So
pretty much none of them. Not even all the Karens.
I mean, just getting away from that stuff in the afternoon, probably grown very tired of it. Kyvan would be out in the yard, shooting his bow and arrow, practicing basically.
I'll show them archery. I'll show
Yeah.
them
Show
archery.
And a couple of archers on the walls, keeping an eye on him while he practices his bow
Mhm.
near where people are walking and living, and they don't need an accident to certainly hurt someone.
Sure.
They can testify. They saw what happened.
I'm sure they did.
I think all of the guards have seen can see what happens.
This feels like a hostile place to the point of
Yeah.
not really wanting to sleep without a guard, but that would seem even worse, keeping a guard while you slept, because that would mean keeping guard while they slept. It's a very unpleasant sight. The only person who seems to be kind of friendly is the weaponsmith who, if you're smiling, once asks if you should check over your equipment because he's heard you're leaving.
Oh yes, that would be lovely.
Maybe he just wants to sabotage it. Who knows?
Mm,
I mean,
looking over him, he might be, but he wouldn't sabotage his own lord's mission, would he?
You heard he can
He's friendly
throw.
enough.
They say,
He
they say
can throw
that man won the
lumber.
caber toss.
yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
I was about to bring up. Kyvan, didn't you say something to me about some caber toss or something?
Oh right, yes, that was him.
Wait, is
That
it?
was him.
You sure he doesn't look that?
Look over here, with his gloves. He is pretty ripped for a man of his age.
Yeah, no. Look at those
smithing
arms.
muscles.
I've never seen the like, honestly. Like gazing at him, impressed for a second, then blinking, sort of realizing what he's doing, and then just resuming his bow and arrow.
Ren is also relatively impressed, though he's far better at hiding what he's doing.